Hey guys, how are you? Today is my day to be at the office. I am at my lunch break right now. I have to go to my boss's house at 3:30 for a happy hour. I'm not going to be drinking, but I do have to go over there for, an hour and a half and then head home. But I figured I would talk to you guys about my little essential oil rant. I have some notes, so I'm obviously going to wait till I get situated. I'm going to try to find a place with some shade so that I can sit and kind of, blabber to you guys. But yeah, today is a good day. It's so far so good. I don't really have any complaints. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I have the happy hour at my boss's house. I have grown over the last few years to not really enjoy drinking around my coworkers. I've gotten to the point where, honestly, I am not really a big fan of drinking, period. But drinking around my coworkers is just not something that I enjoy doing very much, if I'm being completely honest. I know some people love happy hours and they love doing all that kind of stuff, but for me, I just and it's not one of those situations where it's like, oh well, I can't handle my alcohol so I don't drink. With me, it's more so just that I don't care to be under the influence of alcohol if I'm hanging out with my coworkers. It's just not my thing. So, okay. So here we are. We're technically in the garage, but this is pretty good lighting. I know y'all don't care. You're probably like, seriously, just get to the point and shut up. Essential oils. Essential oils are something that, let me tell you guys how I have used essential oils in the past. I have always only used them in a diffuser in my house. You have the diffuser. I'll throw up an example if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sure most of you do. We have one in our living room. I found it at TJ Maxx. It was like $20 or something like that. It wasn't very expensive. And I have a bottle of lavender oil that I got at Whole Foods. I've had it literally for like 2 years. I don't use it very often. And you put a couple drops in the diffuser with some distilled water, and it creates basically like a cold steam. It diffuses the water and the oil mixture. It can make your house smell good and all of that good stuff. So that's the only way that I've ever really used essential oils. I've had bath products that have essential oil in them, but I'm talking about just the concentrate. The essential oil industry is a $5.1 billion industry. I guess I never really realized how lucrative the essential oil business or industry is until I was doing research for this video. I was pretty blown away by that number. That is a massive number, considering that essential oils have no real health benefits. They are shrouded by controversy, and many people, when they think of someone selling essential oil, they automatically think of pyramid schemes and MLMs, and I'll get into that as well. But so let's go over some of the claims that most essential oil companies make. Some of the more popular ones are that if you're using an essential oil, you can get better sleep, deeper focus, and better your overall well-being. Many of them go as far as to claim that they will claim or cure and treat diseases. That is wrong across the board. I don't care what kind of essential oil you claim to have. Nothing is going to cure a disease by using an essential oil. Many of these essential oil companies will put these claims on their packages, And when you ask them about studies or, what the, where's your backup for these claims, they will rely on very small studies that have been done. And sometimes, it's usually studies that their own company did with a very small group of people, and you never know if those people were paid. You don't know the conditions surrounding the study that they did. One of the issues with essential oils is that fakes are very common. So if you guys have ever been on Amazon, let's just say that you were really curious about essential oil, and you go on Amazon and you find a lavender oil. I'll just use that because that's the one that I'm most familiar with. You find a bottle of lavender oil that's, like a 5-ounce bottle for, $6. Like, that's not something that you want to buy. The ones that I've always purchased historically have always been at like Whole Foods or a health food store, and good essential oils are pricey. That is something else that I don't think people necessarily think about. If you're actually looking for an essential oil, price matters. You're not going to get a good solid essential oil for $4.99 at Target, The other thing that I'll say as far as the cosmetic industry and the essential oil industry, do not ever put pure essential oil directly onto your skin. That is a huge mistake. I know that a lot of these companies like Young Living, Terra, I'll talk about both of them in a minute. Many of them will say that you can put the essential oils, on your wrist. Like, okay, we'll take the lavender oil and put it on your wrist, or take the tea tree oil and put it behind your ear. Do not put essential oils directly on your skin. If you are going to use them, make sure that they are diluted with water or some sort of other carrier agent, and keep it far, far away from your skin. I don't even like using essential oils if they are diluted in water or put in some sort of other carrier. That's just me personally. Essential oils can be very sensitizing to many skin types, and even if you're one of those people who thinks, oh, well, I don't have sensitive skin, I'll be just fine. Many times if you use this over a period of time, your skin can actually develop a sensitivity to the essential oil. So you could use it for 6 months and be, look just fine, and then break out in hives. And it's actually that essential oil that's now causing you to have a sensitivity to, the plant that it's derived from, basically. Something else that I wanted to put in this video: if you are interested in using an essential oil in a diffuser or in whatever, cleaning products, or, if that's your thing and that's what you want to do, please, please, please be extra, extra, extra careful if you have animals at home, especially dogs and cats. Essential oils can be very, very, very dangerous for dogs. I'm going to read you guys the list of, I went to VCA, and, they are the source for this list that I have on which oils are toxic to dogs. Cinnamon oil, citrus oil, pennyroyal oil. I don't know what pennyroyal is. I haven't heard of that. Peppermint oil, pine, sweet birch, tea tree, wintergreen, and ylang-ylang. That's like a tongue twister. So stay away from all of those oils. Like I said, the only one that I personally use in my house is lavender, if and when I use my diffuser. But all of these oils, keep them far, far away from dogs. I know a lot of companies will use peppermint oils in like cleaning products because it smells like minty and it's fresh and whatever. Very, very bad for dogs. And if you're using that to, say, clean your floors, and your dog is, picking up crumbs or eating a treat off of the floor, you don't know how that's going to be ingested by your dog, and it could just cause, a whole mess of trouble. So those are sort of some overall thoughts on oils, but I really want to drill down into the two main culprits of toxicity in the essential oil community. And those are the companies Young Living and doTERRA. I didn't really know a whole lot about either of these companies. I had seen a lot of influencers on Instagram promoting their products, and I always just kind of ignored it because, like I said, if I am interested in an essential oil, I'm going to be going over to Whole Foods and buying it there and calling it a day. So anyway, oh God. So here's the thing. One of you guys suggested that I watch the documentary, or it's a documentary series, but it was specifically one episode. It's called Unwell, and I watched the episode on essential oils. I watched it a few nights ago, and I really started looking into especially Young Living, because Young Living is very focused on in this episode. So here's the thing. Young Living was founded in 1993 by this guy named Gary Young. I have some other notes here, so I'm sorry that I'm looking down, but let me give you a brief history on Gary Young. He is literally a whack job, in my opinion. Gary Young was born in 1950 in Idaho. He graduated high school when he was 17. He earned his diploma before moving to BC, British Columbia, when he was 17. His claim is that he got injured in 1974 while logging. He said that he was initially paralyzed for life, but he was saved by an essential oil cure. Wow. So mesmerizing, right? He claims he got meningitis, 16 crushed vertebrae, 11 ruptured discs, and 19 broken bones, as well as a herniated spinal cord. There is no official documentation of this actually happening. So for all anyone knows, this is just something that he made up out of thin air, which for anyone who's ever gone through a severe injury, that is like a huge you to anyone who's actually gone through this and had to learn how to walk again, learn how to care for themselves. So people that fabricate injuries to sell a product are scum of the earth, in my opinion. So in 1981, he opened a clinic in the state of Washington using his degree. And he was also arrested for practicing medicine without a license, but he only spent 30 days in prison with a 1-year probation term. So here's where things get very dark with this guy, Gary Young. In 1982, Gary talked to his wife, Donna Young. He basically talked her into giving birth in a hot tub at his clinic that he had opened. He essentially held the little baby girl underwater for 1 hour until she passed on. The coroner said that she died from oxygen deprivation and would have lived if it wasn't for her being held under the water. In 1983, he was asked by an undercover police officer about performing an underwater birth. Gary immediately offered an underwater birth as well as other prenatal care, and he claimed he could cure the cop's mother's cancer. Gary was again arrested for practicing medicine without a license, but this time he only spent 60 days in prison. And he also got another 1 year of probation. So in 1985, he supposedly earned a master's degree in nutrition. Later on went to earn a doctorate in neuropathy from this Bernardine University. But Bernardine University is one of those universities that sells like fake diplomas. So, that was obviously just a whole crock of shit. In 1986, he opened another clinic in Mexico using his degree. He scammed people out of a massive amount of money, claiming that he could bring a patient into remission if they stayed for a 3-week period in the clinic and gave him approximately $6,000. He could cure them if he was paid $10,000. Oh God, this guy, what a piece of shit. So here's the thing. The clinic was found to be a scam after a newspaper reporter sent the blood of a healthy cat to the clinic to be tested for $60. The reporter was told the blood had evidence of an aggressive cancer and liver problems. There was no testing done to even show that it was not human blood. The reporter was suggested to do the detoxification program through the clinic, which would cost approximately $2,000 a week. It was also suggested that she do a home program for $490 that involved supplements and vitamins. Another reporter sent in blood from a healthy chicken to be tested for $60 again. The reporter was told the blood had evidence of inflammation of the liver and pre-lymphoma. Again, there was no testing done to even show it was not human blood. She was also prescribed the detoxification program. In 1989, he started growing plants in Washington and got 2 distillation units. In 1993, Gary founded Young Living in Utah. So the sham, again, it started with this guy with the claims that he was harvesting oils with customs that were practiced during the period of Christ. So he's obviously trying to get extremely religious people on board as well. Later in 93, Gary Young was arrested in Washington for unlicensed medical practice again, and it looks like he only served 60 days again. So essentially in between, call it 1993 and 1993 and 1996, there was a lot that came out, and I don't want to go into graphic detail because YouTube, but there were a lot of physical altercations happening between this guy Gary and his kids, and it involved lots of physical stuff. It involved an axe. You guys can do your own research as well, but this guy was just like a nut job. He was very, very angry, very upset. The courts got involved, and the kids basically told the courts everything that was going on. So this guy was not only a snake oil salesman, but he was also really bad to his wife and his family. Later on in 2000, he opened the Young Life Research Clinic Institute in Utah. And again, he was doing all sort of treatments that were supposed to be healing people of all kinds of diseases. And in 2005, a patient alleged during her time at this clinic, it led to her kidney failure. She had no kidney issues before her time at the clinic, but she did claim that Gary's treatments that he was, so famous for nearly caused her to pass away, basically. And also in 2005, he closed that clinic and he went to Ecuador. The last thing that I'll talk about is how in 2015, the Young Living supplements were tested positive for lead. And after that happened, that is when Gary stepped down, and that is when his wife, Mary, took over. Gary did pass in 2018, so he is no longer, on this earth. But you know, I don't understand where these companies get off making these sort of claims. And it would be so much better if companies could just operate and say, if you want your house to smell good, use our oils, and this is how you use them safely. You know, the Young Living and doTERRA, they recommend people put like lemon oil in water and drink it. Like, drinking essential oil is horrible. Please don't do that. But a lot of the claims were actually caught on to by the FDA. They issued a warning to Young Living in 2014. I don't know if I said the year, but it was in 2014, because Young Living was, again, claiming that their oils could treat or cure Ebola, Parkinson's, autism, diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, PTSD, insomnia, and more. So that's basically every health condition. They were saying, buy our oils and they will either help treat or could cure whatever you're dealing with. Whatever your problem is, we have the answer. Just buy our shit, you know? Evidently in 2020, which is this year, Young Living did come to an agreement to stop claiming, you know, that they could cure or treat any of these serious health conditions. I think that they had to, or they would have been shut down. Like, the FDA is on to these essential oil companies like white on rice. It's crazy. Okay, so let's talk now a little bit about the pyramid scheme that is with doTERRA and Young Living both. When I'm discussing these topics, I'm going to be talking about both of the companies. I think that they are both very guilty of pulling the same kind of shenanigans. There are a couple points that are specific to Young Living, because those are the specific points that I located. But you guys will hear as I talk about it. Both of these companies are pyramid schemes. I'm going to put that out there first and foremost. You guys maybe have a different opinion. Maybe your aunt sells this stuff. Maybe your mom sells it. It's a pyramid scheme. I don't care who sells it and who thinks that it's not a pyramid scheme. It's 100% a pyramid scheme. Young Living is bringing in about $1 billion per year. And what did I say earlier? This industry is worth $5.1 billion. So they've got a pretty big chunk, you know, compared to what this industry is worth. And I think one of the many worst things with Young Living and doTERRA is they really stalk on stay-at-home parents, whether it's moms or dads. Now, I do think that they prey more on women than they do men, but this statement could be applied to either or. To prey on someone who is staying home to take care of their kids is disgusting. And especially, I'll tell you guys, like, kind of how one would get started with a company like this. It just pisses me off because, you know, you're already talking to someone who isn't working a full-time job so that they can stay home with their children or child or, you know, whatever. And then you're telling them that they have to buy all of this stuff. So instead of them making money, you're selling them a false promise and telling them they have to buy a bunch of inventory that you know they're not going to be able to sell. So essentially the way that it works is that one annoying girl in high school that you haven't talked to in 5 years hits you up on Facebook or Instagram and says, "Hey girl, I'm selling essential oils. These are amazing. They're the best ever. I want you to be a part of my team. You can make so much money. We're girl bosses, boss babes over here." That's the whole gig, okay? I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So you sign on to be a part of Sally Joe's team, and you have to buy a starter kit. These starter kits run from $100 to $250, depending on if you go with the basic or the supreme version. And essentially, Sally Joe will get $25 for bringing you on to her team. So the whole way that, what I've gathered, the way that the commissions work with Young Living is that new members don't get commission, but if you even want to be considered for commission, you have to sign up for their Essential Rewards site. It's like a program that's, obviously run through a website, and you have to maintain enrollment by purchasing inventory. So you're essentially, you're always, you're a bottom feeder, but the people at the top are the ones that are actually collecting all of your money. One of the statistics that I read, I'll tell you guys this really quick. 94% of total members of Young Living earn an average of $1 per month, and many of them earn zero. Absolutely no income, but they've spent thousands of dollars on all of this inventory that you have to have in order to even be a salesperson. One thing that I didn't know about is the FTC has a 70-30 rule. I've never been a part of a pyramid scheme, MLM, like I would never. So a lot of this I didn't know about. But the FTC has a 70-30 rule. MLM sellers must sell more than 70% of their monthly inventory before being required to buy more. So I guess my question is, how does Young Living get around this clause? Because I've heard so many people say, I was left with, boxes and boxes and boxes of inventory in my spare bedroom or in my basement or in my garage, and I cannot sell this stuff. So how is it that they are working around this 70-30 rule? If it's actually put in place, how are they getting around it? That's what I'm curious about. The average loss for members in the year 2016 was $1,175. That is a rent payment. That is like 3 months of groceries for some people. It's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate to hear that, and then also in the same sentence hear that Young Living brought in over $1 billion in 2016. So yeah, it's real disgusting. It's really gross what these companies do. And in between the false promises, you can be a boss babe, you can work for yourself, you'll have a brand new car, you'll be making $20,000 a month. Like, all of these broken promises are just so sad. The worst part of it for me, and you guys might have a completely different opinion on this, and that's okay. We're all allowed to have different opinions on my channel. The part that makes me the most upset is the fact that they prey on people who are sick. If you guys don't know, now you'll know. My grandmother passed away from cancer. And luckily I was there with her the whole time. Let's just say that she was someone who lived alone and didn't really have any family or anything like that, and someone somehow found her who was selling these essential oils, and if she was not wise enough to say, no, I know this is junk, like, when you're in a situation like that and you're feeling so hopeless, that's how you can fall into these traps. So the fact that they prey on people who are sick or people who have kids that are sick, whatever the scenario is, it pisses me off to no end, honestly. So I don't care who in my life is selling essential oils. I don't care if it's, my boyfriend or my neighbor across the street. Like, if you're selling Young Living or, doTERRA or whatever, I think that you're a horrible human being, especially with all of the facts and all the evidence that has come out surrounding these companies. At this point, it's not like one claim where it's like, oh, well, that person might have just had a bad experience. Like, there are lawsuits, there are like serious claims being made against how shitty these companies are to work with. So anyway, I don't know. If you guys haven't watched Unwell, go watch it on Netflix. I would recommend the essential oils episode, and I would also recommend the fasting episode. The fasting episode was very interesting to me as well. So, you know, I'm not a dietitian. I don't have a background in nutrition or diet or anything like that. So I will not be talking about fasting on my channel. But yeah, the essential oil one I felt was very interesting, and I just wanted to kind of share some overall thoughts. If you guys like, if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, well, I really like to use essential oils, you know, in my house to make it smell good or whatever, that's fine. I'm not telling anyone don't ever use essential oils. What I'm saying is I would not recommend, you know, going through someone selling Young Living or doTERRA. I would go right over to your local Whole Foods or your local health food store and buy a really good essential oil. You know, don't try to go on Amazon because you don't know what you're buying there. And, you know, buy it and put it in the diffuser. Remember what I said about dogs being around essential oils and the ones that are bad for them? But as far as, you know, if you love the smell of lavender, then put it in the diffuser and enjoy and allow it to, you know, let your house smell good. But it's everything else that I have a really big problem with. So hopefully those points came across in this video. But I need to scurry my ass back to work now. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.